What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Nice Catch Podcast. We're here to catch you up on all the latest football news and analysis. I'm Baden.
And I'm Hank. Today, we're talking everything NFL free agency. The biggest moves, the biggest winners, the biggest losers, and it's March. We may even talk a little March Madness, maybe football perspective on March Madness. So, we'll see if we get to that. Maybe a little unique today. But it's that time of year, NFL free agency. It's a really fun time, as we talked about last episode, where during the season, you see which teams are the best. During the offseason, you see which teams could be the best. And we've seen some fun moves. Last time, we ended with Geno Smith being traded to the Raiders. That happened like just a couple hours before we recorded this last episode. And so today, well, the Seahawks filled their quarterback spot. The Jets have a quarterback, but there's still some question mark teams. Let's start with talking about quarterback moves because, quarterback is what changes a team the most in the NFL. And then we can talk about other quarterback openings that still are, that are open, and some other free agency stuff after that. So, Baden, what do you think? First, just Sam Darnold to the Seahawks, Justin Fields to the Jets. Those are the big two right now. What are your opinions on those?
I think Sam Darnold to the Seahawks, I think that's a great move. I think Sam Darnold really showed that he has the ability to be a good number one this past season on the Vikings. But the Vikings still used their pick for J.J. McCarthy. And I think they when he's healthy, they want him to be their number one. And even in being hurt, he's had a whole year now to learn and develop under Sam Darnold. So he's had a year to kind of learn, even though it might not be as hands-on because he's not able to play, able to practice in the same way. But he's been able to develop, so now I think they want to go, okay, we want J.J. McCarthy to be our number one. That's who we signed. That's who we want. Sam Darnold has proven, hey, I can be a number one in this league. Seahawks need a number one. I think it's a great move. I think that's good for both teams. And then Justin Fields to, you said the Jets?
To the Jets.
I want to make sure. That is a little bit more interesting to me. Of course, the Jets needed a quarterback, and the Jets have had a similar quarterback for the past few years. Aaron Rodgers kind of changed it up a little bit, but Zach Wilson, Mike White.
Yeah. Lots of random people.
Lots of very random people. Now they have someone who has the ability, if coached well, if the chemistry fits, to be a franchise quarterback, or at least a very good number one. Like, he's an established, yes, this quarterback can be a number one. And so I think that's a good move by the Jets. On the Steelers side of it, it's very interesting. Because the Steelers, they made it to the playoffs with, Russell Wilson doing great, right? But Russell Wilson is on the back end of his career.
Yeah, he's on the downhill.
And I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but they're losing some players. They're giving away Justin Fields, who it seemed like once Russell Wilson's out, we got Justin Fields. So that's interesting. Najee Harris, letting him go, very interesting. And it's not like he's been no Saquon Barkley. So, it's not a huge loss, but that's still that's your running back number one. So also a very interesting move. So I know we'll probably talk about that more in a little bit. But for the Jets, amazing. For the Steelers, a bit confusing on my end at least.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm a little more confused about Darnold to the Seahawks. One, just the Geno Smith move confused me because Geno Smith, he's an established starter for multiple years. Of course, he's not. I think there are plenty of quarterbacks like Geno Smith who aren't going to be the reason you win a Super Bowl, like Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar. These guys can be the reason you win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Guys like Geno Smith, even like Dak Prescott. You can win a Super Bowl with these guys. They're not going to be the reason why. They're not going to hold you back to where you can't win a Super Bowl, depending on the system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Geno Smith is one of those guys. And Darnold is still working and proving himself. Because the last few games of the season, he just didn't look like he did the rest of the season. Under pressure, definitely rough. And so this move is a little confusing with how much they're paying Darnold. I would have liked for them to keep Geno and maybe draft someone this year, next year to take over. Mm-hmm. But if they've done their scouting and they think Darnold is the best option for them, they know better than we do. But it was a little confusing. We'll talk more about the Seahawks later because they're going to look extremely different this next year. Very, very different. And yeah, Justin Fields to the Jets. Also, a little weird, as you said, with the Steelers. The Steelers need a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is visiting the Steelers today I think, or has visited them recently. Mm-hmm. And so that could be a potential pairing. I think he would work well with Mike Tomlin and just his coaching style. But I don't know what to do with the Jets right now because they had a good defense and they have Garrett Wilson. And Breece Hall is off and on really good. But besides that, it's just lots of question marks in that team. The Raiders right now, besides Brock Bowers, I think are another team that there's just question marks everywhere. You don't really want to be their quarterback. Same with the Jets are similar. It reminds me of the Panthers a few years ago. They couldn't do anything with Baker Mayfield. Couldn't do anything with Sam Darnold. They just were that question mark team. Now that's the Jets and the Raiders, in my opinion.
I think that's fair.
You just can't do anything with whatever quarterback they get. We saw Aaron Rodgers in the Jets, and he's first ballot Hall of Famer. So, of course, he also is on the downhill.
Mm-hmm. Which is another just interesting thing on the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if they do sign Aaron Rodgers? They have two downhill quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And nothing. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, if Mike Tomlin could do what he did with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, then...
Oh, yeah. Just another 9-8 season.
Yep, exactly. Pretty much.
First round exit.
Oh, there we go. I was wondering why the article that I was looking at about free agency looked so weird. It was because I had scrolled past the bottom of the article and was looking at just not free agency stuff at all. So those are the biggest quarterback moves. Another quarterback move that was interesting to me was Daniel Jones getting signed by the Colts. That flew under the radar a lot, I think, because Darnold to the Seahawks was a headline, Justin Fields to the Jets, but Daniel Jones to the Colts was a little weird to me. I really like it whenever starting quarterbacks and backup quarterbacks have the same play style.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Jones, he's more athletic than people realize. Of course, his most famous run highlight is when he breaks off for a 90-yard run and then trips before the end zone, which I think is a very Daniel Jones highlight. But
yes,
he's more athletic than people realize. He's not Anthony Richardson, though. Although, no one's really Anthony Richardson except himself. Maybe Lamar. Maybe like Jalen Milroe with a lot more throwing power.
Mm-hmm.
Or like accuracy. Well, maybe not accuracy. It's Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, it's gonna be strange.
Yeah, his play style is not like you can see it in this person, and this person, and this person. He's very himself.
Definitely, I like that.
But definitely, who he's definitely not is Daniel Jones.
Yeah,
like you're saying, that is a bit odd.
Yeah. But I like this move because the Colts need QB competition.
Yeah.
You don't want to roll with just Anthony Richardson.
At this point, no.
Definitely not at this point. Maybe at some point, I would love for him to find a spot. He would be so fun to watch as a starter for an extended amount of time. But right now, just not the starter you want. What do you think about Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, Colts quarterback situation right now, Baden?
I don't know. I think, like you're saying, especially, was that my stomach? That was a bit odd. The way that Anthony Richardson played last year, I think as a coach, you don't want him to feel like he deserves that number one spot.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to have to fight for it and put forth that effort, because that's when his true talent is gonna come out. Because you don't want another "I'm tired, coach, I'm gonna sit the bench."
Mm-hmm.
You want there to be that pressure of, okay, if I don't play to the best of my ability in this game, I might not play next game.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel Jones doesn't put an immense amount of pressure on him, but there's still that, like, they're going to be fighting because both of them could start.
Yeah.
And so I think that's very helpful. And the Colts are a team right now. They're a team in preseason before last year looked like they could be pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just didn't quite turn out.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a team where it's just, you just don't really know what's going to happen next season. I wouldn't say that there's high hopes for them, but this is a chance to maybe bring out the best in Anthony Richardson, which is much needed for the Colts right now.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else on that?
Not much else on
Okay.
Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson.
I don't know. There's one more move that happened it was 2 weeks ago. We had Zach Wilson to the Dolphins. Just a one-year contract.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, because I guess he from the Broncos. Yeah,
yes.
Jets, Broncos, and now Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was interesting.
Yes.
The Dolphins seem like they're somewhat, I don't know, there's just been some interesting moves from them. You know, they traded, is it Braxton Berrios to the Texans, which we kind of talked about on that last time, but interesting, the Texans adding another receiver.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Zach Wilson to the Dolphins, that kind of came as not like a huge surprise because obviously with Tua and the injuries, it's good to have somebody else back there. But I don't know, Zach Wilson wouldn't have been my first thought of somebody that the Dolphins would go for.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I'm with you there. There's definitely other moves like that. I mean, Mac Jones is Brock Purdy's backup now on the 49ers.
Goodness, the 49ers.
Yeah. Well, it just means Mac Jones is going to have a good career now that he's playing for Shanahan.
Yeah.
But, yeah, moves like that where they're guys who didn't have a great chance. I mean, as we talked about the Jets, no one really has a good chance there. And I think it's good for him to get a high-end backup situation. But kind of like what you were saying, the Dolphins have question marks, especially health with Tua and even with their receivers. I mean, we haven't seen Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle both healthy much at all. And so Zach Wilson does seem a little bit of a low end on what the Dolphins would want. But I like that move, giving him another chance in a better system. Same with Mac Jones to the 49ers. Other random moves, Mason Rudolph back to the Steelers. He's shown flashes of being able to do, more than just mid-backup stuff. Tommy DeVito re-signed to the Giants. That's just one that we have to mention. Jimmy Garoppolo got re-signed by the Rams, and so my Jackson Dart to the Rams take is looking less and less likely. And then Gardner Minshew is now Mahomes' backup. So makes it harder to root for him.
Yep.
I love...
Unless he takes Patrick Mahomes' starting spot and then becomes the next Tom Brady.
Hey, he's the next Nick Foles, Gardner Minshew.
Yes, you know what? That's not a ridiculous thing to say.
It's really not.
That's really not a ridiculous thing to say.
That's the main quarterback stuff. I say let's move to some of the other headlines. We can kind of move down by position, running backs, wide receivers, other stuff. Quarterback, as we said, is the biggest position to cover, just because there's the most going on there and the biggest changes. But we want to show love to every position.
Yeah.
I was going to say I'm not a quarterback. The 1 year I did play football, I did play some quarterback.
You've got an arm. You've got. I want the people to know Hank does have an arm.
I actually have 2 arms.
He's got 2 arms, but the right one can throw quite well.
Oh, well, thank you, Baden.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
I'll throw that out there. Let's be honest.
I can't run nearly as fast as Baden can. So, speaking of running fast,
boom.
Let's talk about running backs.
What an amazing transition.
Hey, you set me up. You set me up, Baden. No huge moves this year. I mean, last year was insane running back market.
Yeah.
Saquon, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, all of these moves just really...
Pretty much every big running back.
Yeah. Every big running back last year was a free agent right before. Aaron Jones is back to the Vikings. I like that. He's on the back end of his career, I think. But that'll be just great for the Vikings to maintain some, consistency on the offense with a new quarterback. Rico Dowdle to the Panthers for $6 million for a year. I like him potentially getting a starting spot because he was one of the few bright spots on the Cowboys offense this past year. You mentioned Najee Harris. That one I like. I don't think Najee's not the person that we expected him to be out of college.
No.
He's not the high-end starter that we thought he would be coming out of Alabama. He was 4th or 5th in Heisman voting that year, and well-deserved. I think he, Devontae Smith, and Mac Jones were the best 3 players in college football that year. But to the Chargers, great system for him, and gives him a chance to kind of be the back that he's really good at being. Lots of running back moves. Those are the biggest ones, I think.
Jordan Mason.
Yes.
Which is, I found that to be very interesting. Because you have Christian McCaffrey. He gets injured. Jordan Mason comes in and plays well.
Yeah.
Very well. Christian McCaffrey comes in, a couple games, injured again. And at this point, there's no... I want to be hopeful because I love Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
But his career is in jeopardy at the moment.
Yeah.
With how injury prone, and his injuries are not light injuries. So that running back position is very open, and Jordan Mason proved that he can fight for that position, and so releasing him is I'm very interested to see what they're going to do in that slot, because last season proved. There were some questions, but last season proved that the running back position is a very important position.
Yes.
And so having that spot pretty open is interesting. They traded him to the Vikings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for a pick swap, right?
Yeah, for Minnesota's a 6th round pick in the 2026 draft and the 160th overall pick in this year's draft.
Okay.
So not
a whole ton.
Not a whole bunch. But the 49ers...
They can kind of put anyone at their running back position.
Yeah. With their coaching and everything, that's not devastating, but the 49ers seem to be pulling at strings right now.
Yes.
Which I'm sure we'll talk about them, but very interesting looking at what has happened in the postseason for the 49ers. Yeah.
Yeah.
My roommate's not too mad about it, though, because the Broncos have gotten some steals from the 49ers.
Yes, seriously, the Broncos' defense is going to look like San Francisco.
It just will be San Francisco.
Yeah, definitely. We'll talk about that, too.
Yeah.
Talk about the 49ers and the Broncos more, as long as I can spell the Broncos right in my notes. So one other running back piece that was really interesting to me was the Cowboys going and signing 2 middle-of-the-pack running backs. They signed Javonte Williams, 1 year, $3 million, and they signed Miles Sanders, 1 year, just under $1.5 million. Neither of these guys are guys you want to be starters right now. Javonte Williams looked really good out of college, and he looked really good his first year in Denver. Just hasn't been the same since. Tore his ACL. Miles Sanders looked really good in Philly. Didn't look great in Carolina. But again, it's Carolina.
Yeah.
They haven't had the offensive line. They hadn't had the pieces. My question with this is, does this take them out of the market for Ashton Jeanty? Because, again, as I said, neither of these guys are who you want to be your starting running back. But we said that about Rico Dowdle, too. And he had over 1,000 rushing yards after not being the starter for the first few games. So I'm just really interested to see, once the draft comes around, once the 12th pick comes around, one, if Jeanty's still there. Two, if we're in the market for Jeanty, or if we wait. Sorry, I'm saying we. I try to be unbiased. Yeah.
Yeah, you have your team.
I have my team.
That's respectable.
They're also the team that I hate the most. So
that's completely fair.
Yep. And yeah, if the Cowboys are in the market for Jeanty, or if second round it's Hampton, Quinshon Judkins, whatever names are still around, second or third round. Ooh, I rhymed there.
Hey.
I'm a poet.
Hey.
I'm a poet, and I didn't even realize it.
Why'd you do that? you just ruined my day. You know what? If you don't cut that, I'm walking.
Ooh. Well, you're driving home. So that'd be a long walk. Spring break. Spring break's awesome. Those are the biggest running back moves, I think. And big question mark with the Cowboys running back future. Well, just the whole franchise, but especially at the running back position. Again, because the Cowboys are at their best when they have a good running back. I mean, you think Ezekiel Elliott, his rookie year. Even back DeMarco Murray, guys like that, whenever they were good with Tony Romo. Like, the running game is most of the time what makes a team a Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
Of course, the Chiefs are kind of just their own thing. But the Eagles, Saquon, like, there you go. Just happened. You saw what a running back can do. And so, big question mark if the Cowboys are going to settle for this or if they still want more. Some other random moves. I mean, Raheem Mostert, who kind of got benched at the end of last year for the Dolphins, going to the Raiders. Khalil Herbert to the Colts. Alexander Madison to the Dolphins. A.J. Dillon to the Eagles is one that, like, really? You have Saquon, who any second of the game can run 60 yards.
Yeah.
And then you have A.J. Dillon as Quadzilla, as he likes to call himself.
Yeah.
Like, who you put him in the backfield, and any defense you're playing is not going to want to tackle either of these guys.
Yeah.
Like, how do the Eagles keep doing this?
Seriously.
It's just aggravating.
You kind of got your third and one back now.
Yeah.
And Saquon Barkley can.
You have Saquon.
You have Saquon, who can also be a third and one back.
Third and two, because third and one is the tush push.
That's the tush push.
As long as they don't ban it.
True.
True. I don't know. We may have to talk about that. I don't come on. If you can't beat it, don't ban it. Just learn how to beat it.
Just learn how to beat it. Figure out something.
Yeah, or
don't let them get to third and one.
Yeah,
or do it. Do it exactly.
No one else can do it.
Yeah.
So
and that's your own fault.
Your own problem.
That's the thing. If other teams could do it, they would.
Yep.
But now you can take a little bit of risk off because if those third and two situations going up the middle, that increases some risk of injury.
100%.
And so you don't want Saquon in those positions. You put a big back. You put a strong running back. You put a strong running back such as A.J. Dillon in that position that can kind of run and get that extra yard.
Yep.
That's perfect.
Yep.
It's a good move.
Good move. Let's talk about wide receivers.
Let's move on.
Again, nothing too crazy with wide receivers right now. The biggest moves, Devontae Adams to the Rams.
Yeah.
And Cooper Kupp to the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Those both were, interesting. Again, Cooper Kupp, sad to see someone like that kind of start going downhill because he is, one of the greatest receivers of the past 10 years. Mm-hmm. The Triple Crown Offensive Player of the Year winner a few years ago. But, again, you're paying him a lot. You have Puka Nacua, who is the future of that franchise at the wide receiver position. And then, again, Devontae Adams also going downhill. I would still rank Cooper Kupp pretty far above Davante Adams in just a skill player ranking. But, again, I think this just solidifies Puka as the Rams' number one, and Davante Adams can help the Rams get back to the Super Bowl. I think this year, we saw the Rams almost beat the Eagles in the snow too.
Yeah.
Like, whenever
in the Eagles' element.
Exactly. Like, bad conditions help the run game, and the Eagles don't need any help on the run game.
No.
So when the Rams can almost beat the Eagles at their own game, not necessarily at their own game, when their game is at their best, the Rams can make it back to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
And they could have last year too. So I like both these moves. I don't like seeing Cooper Kupp go away from the Rams. It just is not going to feel right, him playing the Rams twice next season. But I think it can be it's a helpful move for both teams in the end. What do you think?
No, I agree. I don't know. I find it interesting, like trading your receiver, who it seems like could be on the decline of his career, for another receiver that's on even more of a decline in his career. But definitely money-wise, it makes sense. But I think both teams can benefit off of this. It's not season-ending. It's not heartbreaking for either team. They'll both be fine, and that trade could even sometimes you need to just mix something up to just make that switch, make that change. That's all it takes. And so I definitely think that Davante Adams can bring that to the Rams. And Cooper Kupp, he's been struggling with some injuries, but when he's on the field, he's a threat.
Yeah.
And so he's gonna. I think he'll do just fine. And but definitely interesting. I wouldn't have seen Cooper Kupp being off of the Rams. And it'll definitely be weird seeing him playing against the Rams twice.
Yes.
It's just gonna be different. But it's all right.
Yeah, definitely strange. Some other moves, nothing too crazy besides those. I'm really glad that Chris Godwin is back with the Bucs. The way that his season ended last year was just heartbreaking. Garbage time. Like, there's no reason for your star receiver, both of them, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, to be on the field.
Yeah.
Well, I also had him on my fantasy team. But just besides that, just heartbreaking to see Chris Godwin go out like that. So he and Mike Evans and the Bucs and Bucky Irving really making a name for himself too.
Yeah.
I like the Bucs. You talked about them a lot last season.
Me too. I still like them.
Bucs, Rams, NFC Championship.
Oh, that's the NFC Championship that the people want.
Yes, exactly.
That is what the people are here for.
Because either team that makes it to the Super Bowl, America, if it's against the Chiefs, America is going to be rooting for the NFC right there.
Yeah. But either, if either of them make it to the Super Bowl, it'll be a good, people are going to, it's not one where you're like, okay, is this, it's, I'm happy to, whether I'm rooting against the team or not, I'm perfectly happy with them being there.
Yeah.
No matter who the AFC team is, say the AFC team, say for me, if the AFC team was the Texans.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for the Texans, but I'm perfectly happy that they're playing the Bucs. That's a fun game. And you want that team. And if the Texans lost, I would be sad. But it's you know what? The Bucs deserve that win.
Oh, yeah.
They deserve to get that Super Bowl win. Baker Mayfield deserved that ring. So
just that sentence. Baker Mayfield deserved that ring.
Exactly. That needs to be said in a real context.
Yes.
We need that.
Please.
The world needs that.
The world needs a Baker Mayfield Super Bowl.
Yes. But yeah, I 100% agree. I'm really glad they're keeping Chris Godwin, and they're a team that just fights.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And sometimes that's kind of dumb, like having both of your receivers, your star receivers, out in garbage time. So sometimes you got to play smart. But they're a team that fights hard, and you love watching that.
Yeah.
So always gonna root for them.
Aren't many quarterbacks that see Bobby Wagner and lower their shoulder.
There are no quarterbacks that see Bobby Wagner and lower his shoulder.
Some other moves.
Amazing.
Definitely amazing. We won it. Joshua Palmer going to the Bills. The Bills are just great at finding receivers like Josh Palmer and putting them in their offense.
Yes.
I think.
And making them look significantly better than maybe.
Yeah. Just give Josh Allen the targets he needs and let him do the rest. Not a ton of other headlines. One that I like is Nick Westbrook-Ikhine going to the Dolphins. He was pretty under the radar for the Titans, but I think he's a really good piece behind Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle that can add a lot to the Dolphins' offense right now. Valdez-Scantling going to the Seahawks. I've seen a lot of memes about him being the MVP magnet. Like all of the last few MVPs have played with Valdez-Scantling. But again, the Seahawks need help at the wide receiver position, which I did not think I would say.
No.
Like, you had DK, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and then now I'm saying you need Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Again, they're back to a stacked wide receiver position, but we'll talk about them. They look very different. Hopkins to the Ravens.
Yeah.
I like that a lot because, again, he's on the downhill, but we saw he can still help a team a lot.
Touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Exactly. And so I like where he's going to. I mean, Lamar just having the extra help is going to be really good.
For sure. And you got somebody, he's not in his prime, but you got somebody that you can just toss the ball down the field. Down the field too. And so with DeAndre Hopkins and his huge hands.
Yeah, like insane.
Yeah, that's a good. I think that's a good move.
Yeah, the Chiefs are bringing back Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquise Brown, so you keep a little consistency there.
Yep.
Michael Gallup coming back out of retirement to play for the Commanders. He played for the Cowboys for a while. When I think of sideline catches, toe tap, I always think Michael Gallup. He just made so many of those. Signed with the Raiders, then retired before 2 seasons ago, I think. Maybe before last season. And then is coming back to the NFL to play for the Commanders. Any other moves you want to touch on? I have one more I want to talk about before we move to just a few more. There's not a ton else that's happened in free agency.
Yeah.
So.
No, I don't know that I do. I'm seeing on your... Let me check myself. I'm seeing on this. Did I see Noah Brown to the Commanders?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Noah Brown to the Commanders. I mean, he is a good number 2, number 3. On the Commanders, number 3, number 4, probably at this point. So that's not a bad move. And then that also, I'm just talking out loud. That makes it make more sense. For me, the Barrios to the Texans.
Yeah.
That kind of connects some dots for me in my head. But I just now saw the Noah Brown to the Commanders.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Noah Brown was with the Commanders this past season too.
Oh, he was.
Because he's the one who caught the Hail Mary.
Oh, you're so right. He was on the Texans and then got released before or traded before the season.
Yeah.
You're so right.
No, I get.
That's embarrassing.
No, hey, you're fine. It's hard to track. Hey, Colin Cowherd once said, it's going to be hard for this team to run the ball against the Dolphins with Christian Wilkins. This past season, Christian Wilkins, last season, was on IR and on the Raiders.
A completely different team.
We're not the only ones. It's his job. We don't make any money off of this yet.
It's true. Not yet.
Hey, can I say this on air? I'll say this on air. I was talking to a friend here at school who he has like a shirt business kind of, and he just ordered a heat press for making shirts. And I was like, hey, what if we contracted you to make shirts? He's like, that would be great.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
We each have one, but we could make more.
Could spread some merch.
Yeah. I wore mine the other day, and 5 people were like, Hank, when is your merch coming in?
I wore mine earlier, either maybe on Monday or maybe last week, and I had a couple of people be like, oh, where can I get one of those? And I was like, oh, we don't have them yet. They're like, you need to make merch.
Hey.
And boom.
We should. We'll talk about that after the break.
Yeah.
Hey, but y'all just got a preview for listening to us.
Oh, yeah.
The last wide receiver move, the Cowboys signed Paris Campbell, who to this day is the worst fantasy move I've ever made because the Colts' 2 top receivers were out. And I had this rookie wide receiver who had been okay but not great. And so I dropped him to pick up Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell got 0 points. That rookie wide receiver I dropped happened to be named Garrett Wilson and get 27 points the next game. Right before he broke out.
Not a great move there.
Not a good move.
No way of knowing.
At all.
No way of knowing, but not a great move.
Not a good move.
Sometimes you just got to take a chance. And you know what? Sometimes those chances
don't work out.
Do not work out.
No. Those are the skill positions. Those are the fun stuff. I say let's just kind of do a flyover of the rest and then touch on a few more things before we're done.
For sure.
Tight ends. Gesicki, sticking with the Bengals. I like that. He's a Bengals type tight end. Evan Ingram to the Broncos I like. He looked like a bust with the Giants. Kind of came back with the Jags. And then kind of fell off again a little bit. Just wasn't who he was at some points in his career. But I like him at the Broncos. They needed tight end to help out Bo Nix. And, well, they got it in Evan Ingram. As for offensive line, Will Fry is going to the Vikings. I like that a lot. Because the Vikings, an offensive line, it's going to be really good. They need offensive line help. We saw kind of what they did with Sam Darnold. You want to protect J.J. McCarthy. And Will Fry is just an amazing offensive lineman. So I like that move a lot. Any other moves, tight end, offensive line that you want to talk about?
No, not off the top of my head.
Yeah. There's not as much going on over here. Of course, just offensive line, there's not often headline names moved. Because if there's headline names, they're just re-signing with their same team.
Yeah.
Josh Sweat, or as for defensive line, Josh Sweat going to the Cardinals. I think it's a great move. Milton Williams to the Patriots, also a great move. Jonathan Allen to the Vikings. A little surprised that the Commanders let him walk, but I think it's just being able to get more pieces on defense. And the Vikings, you let the Vikings get Jonathan Allen while you already have the defense you have.
Yeah.
They're going to be even scarier defense this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about the Broncos. Talanoa Hufanga going to the Broncos.
Dre
Greenlaw also to the Broncos. Anytime you get a San Francisco defender on your team, that's just kind of crazy.
Especially Hufanga was the mini Fred Warner.
Yeah.
That was his play style. He ran through people.
Mm-hmm.
He was of
as
course
a safety.
They're two different positions, of course. But his play style, he ran through people as a safety. He was all over the field. Dre Greenlaw, in the world of could'ves and should'ves,
I know
Dre
exactly
Greenlaw
where you're going with this.
Could have been the reason that the 49ers won Super Bowl 55. No, 50.
This is 59, so 58.
58.
Yeah.
Could have been the reason that the 49ers won Super Bowl 58. He had locked up. He had been all over Travis Kelce, had locked him up, and then he goes out, and the rest is history. And you know what? That's what happened, and there's no way of knowing. But Dre Greenlaw is a unit.
Insane.
Absolutely insane. So Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga, the Broncos got a steal out of that one. And it's not like they didn't. I mean, a $45 million deal with $20 million guaranteed. It's not like they're paying him $5 million. Obviously, it's not like it's.
Well, he deserves that money.
But he absolutely deserves that money. And so, I mean, it's kind of one of the things where you just look and you're like, what are the 49ers doing?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess money is money. You got to make sure you have it.
Yeah,
so
that's a fair point. I like that.
Yeah,
you got to make sure you have it.
As an NFL team, you can't. You got to be careful with those things. And I mean, there were some. I mean, just on the 49ers. I mean, they released Kyle Juszczyk, but then really the reason was just so they could re-sign him to a smaller deal.
Yeah.
So they could have cap space. But when I saw that, I was like, "There's no way." That doesn't even make sense. That is beyond the realm of possibilities. And then I saw he was re-signed for a different contract. And I was okay. Good. That I was lost. Like, I was probably staring at my phone just with my mouth wide open.
Oh, yeah, I felt the same way. Again, it's just like, money's limited.
Yep.
And sometimes those are the casualties.
Yeah.
But Juszczyk is not someone you want to let walk.
He is
in any
not.
world.
Cut your long snapper, which actually they did. They did cut their long snapper. Now that I'm looking at player departures, and they literally did released Tabor Pepper, their long snapper. So that's interesting. That's funny. But big surprise. But they brought it back. They got it. They re-signed him.
Yeah, I'm glad they did.
Just some money stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just completely fair. But a lot. I mean, on the defense side, I would say that releasing Hufanga and Greenlaw is not completely fair.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Last signing, the Packers got a kicker in Braden McManus. They definitely had kicker problems, so I'm glad to see them kind of find an answer now. Yeah. But we still have some good guys available. Stephon Diggs, Tyler Lockett still has not signed with the team. Nick Chubb, I forgot he was on the market right now.
Really, I didn't know that he was.
Gus Edwards, Amari Cooper, Von Miller, still on the market. We saw the Bills sign Joey Bosa, which I like, for $12 million.
Oh, yeah. Great move.
Brandon Cooks.
Quick question.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about it. Who is in the running back position in Cleveland right now?
Not really anyone.
Was that a good question?
Yeah, that really is a good question because
it's not Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt's re-signed with the Chiefs.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
But they're not re-signing Nick Chubb as of now.
No.
Interesting.
Because he was with the Chiefs some of last season, and so re-signed with them. But again, yeah, I don't think they really have a solid starter. They have some backups. I think they still have some, a good number 2 running back. But
okay. Sorry, I was just thinking about that.
No, that's good. That's a great clarification. They need someone. Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, still on the market. Aaron Rodgers is just really interesting. Like, he's nowhere. The Vikings don't want him. The Steelers might want him. Giants don't seem to want him. And, I don't think he wants to be a backup.
No.
Forced retirement might actually kind of be it for him.
Yeah, it's hard. I think a big thing is, team chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And he just brings a level, he's an amazing player, but he brings a level of controversy to the team he's coming to that I think is, it's not something you just push aside. Mm-hmm. It's something to consider. Something that makes him a little bit of a difficult situation. So, yeah, forced retirement is not, he could play another few seasons and be good, but if a teams just don't want him, then maybe it's time to retire.
Yeah. You want to talk about, we talked about the Broncos, how they're, Colorado, San Francisco. Mm-hmm. Or San Francisco, Colorado. Either way.
Colorado's San Francisco. Yeah, I don't know, but you're right.
Yeah. The 49ers, we kind of talked about how they're just thin at a lot of positions. Mm-hmm. That their money just doesn't seem to be doing the same thing it used to do. That was a really weird statement. It doesn't have the same effect that it used to have.
Yeah.
They don't. They're still star-studded. Ooh, that was.
Dang. That was nice.
But well, thank you. I don't know where that came from, but they're not. The 49ers were used to seeing here comes another NFC championship. Mm-hmm. But just really interesting. But the Seahawks...
ChatGPT projected that the 49ers will win the next Super Bowl.
And ChatGPT is never wrong.
Never wrong.
Never wrong.
Yeah, I don't see how that's possible at the moment.
No, definitely not.
They predicted the next 50, and they added teams that aren't NFL teams. So I don't really know what's going on there. So I would not take that as law.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair.
NFL expansion. We had an episode on that.
The Ravens have won a Super Bowl in the past 20 years, and they weren't a team 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 30 years ago.
So, you never know. But
yeah.
Continue. That was a brief interruption.
Oh, good. We love brief interruptions. Let's talk a little bit about the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. One move that we didn't talk about is them getting DeMarcus Lawrence who is a force on the defensive line for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So him going to Seattle, great. I mean, of course, he's past his prime, but still a great defensive end up there. But their offense last year, Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and one of those 4 players that I just named is still there. Now, Sam Darnold, Cooper Kupp, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Jake Bobo is a really good 4th option at wide receiver. He could even be number 3 and Valdez-Scantling be number 4. But just a very different look, and it seemed to work well, but again, they didn't make the playoffs, so not well enough.
Yeah.
So I think some changes, kind of like what we saw with the Bills do with their wide receiver position last year. They were good with Stephon Diggs, but they needed to switch it up.
They needed something different.
So I like what the Seahawks are doing. It's just going to be really weird.
It is.
Really weird.
It's just, it's just going to be a different team, all together, for the most part. And that might be exactly what they need. That could be exactly what they need.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's about it that I have for free agency. Anything else from you, Baden?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered a lot. I'm sure there's some moves that I'm not thinking about, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think we've really covered all the big things. I think probably the biggest 3 team movements are probably Seahawks, 49ers, and Broncos. They're probably the biggest team switches. Maybe Raiders.
Yeah,
done a lot, but I think it's been very interesting. There's been a lot of things happen that I was not not expecting.
Agreed.
And it's just interesting. I was just thinking about this while you were talking. Is just players that I have rookie baseball. Goodness, I have rookie football cards of, and then talking right now this player. They're on the downhill of their career. It's that's so. When I was a kid, I'm that just imagining how good they were back when I was first watching football, and now I'm they're they can still push out 1 or 2 more years. I don't know. It's just getting into another. Time moves on, another era of football.
Yeah,
but just as exciting.
100%. Do you want in the last 2 minutes and talk about if you have 2 more minutes?
I have so many more minutes.
Okay, well there you go.
I assume. I mean, no man knows the day or the hour.
That's a good point. As of right now, looks like we have a couple more minutes.
Yes.
I want to talk about my favorite March Madness bracket to make.
Did you have Georgia winning?
Okay, well, we'll get to that in a sec. One, my pick was Alabama, who is still, well, actually, let me see, because Robert Morris was putting up a good fight. So I need to check that before I talk about my bracket not being totally okay. Good. They are up 5 with 5 minutes left. So my bracket is very broken right now with what happened yesterday, and will be more broken today, probably. But again, I don't watch much college basketball. I should more. But my favorite bracket to make is making a bracket as if this was football. So, yes, I did have Georgia winning.
That's fair.
I don't expect – well, they already lost. They were down 27-3 at one point yesterday. Yeah. But let's look at this Final Four. We have A&M and Florida and Georgia and Alabama. The funny thing is 3 of those 4 teams actually have a pretty good chance of making it.
Yeah.
Georgia is out already, and so they don't. But it's funny looking at some of what did happen. Like Gonzaga beating Georgia. Gonzaga does not have a football team.
So the obvious conclusion is that they would not have won a football game.
That's a good point. Even if it wasn't Georgia they were playing. McNeese beating Clemson. McNeese, I think, is FCS. Yeah. And again, this was a very big upset. It was their first ever March Madness tournament win. But
just want to throw it out there that I did have that in my bracket. I had McNeese beating Clemson.
Hey,
not for any reason
here
that I actually know, but because I figured I'd pick a few upsets, and that was the one that I went with.
Yeah. There's some that are funny just getting to where they did because that's the only like the team that would beat the other teams, like Memphis. Memphis and Colorado State would be a good game, but like neither of them are really football schools. Actually, Memphis was top 25 at some point last season. Memphis and Maryland, kind of the same. But then Memphis gets to Florida. Florida with DJ Lagway, they're going to beat Memphis. Other teams like St. John's and Omaha in the first round.
What do you do there?
What do you do? I have a friend who plays football for St. John's. They're Division III. I don't even know if Omaha has a football team, so I just went with St. John's.
That's fair.
But then they play Arkansas in the SEC second round, so that one's not really happening.
No.
But again, I love college basketball. These playoffs are so much fun to watch. I like that the college football playoffs kind of mimic this a little more than they used to. But it's always kind of fun to be like, okay, if this was football, who would happen? Who would happen? What would happen?
Who
would win?
What? Who would win?
What would happen? There you go.
Exactly.
But because it makes me feel smart, like I actually researched. Because I should have researched a little bit. The extent of my research was, okay, A&M beat Auburn recently, so I think A&M's getting out of their side of the bracket. And Cooper Flagg isn't 100%, so I think that Auburn is going to end up getting to the Final Four because of that.
Yeah, I think it took me approximately 3 minutes to complete my bracket because I just picked the highest seed, and then every couple games I picked the upset. And it's worked out fine by now. And, I favored the Texas teams. And so somehow Texas Tech is my pick to win.
Okay.
I don't know anything about them. Never watched a game. Well, I know about Texas Tech. I don't know about their basketball team specifically.
Yep.
And I have not watched them play. But now I'm invested. Now I got to know, will Texas Tech win it all?
Yeah.
They played last night at 10, I think. Or did they play tonight at 10? I think tonight at 10.
Couldn't tell you.
I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But I just think it's fun to, I don't know, brackets are just fun. It's fun to make predictions and just see what happens.
Yeah.
Texas Tech did win. Okay.
They did win.
Yeah, and they are playing.
They're playing Drake.
That'll probably be a pretty good game.
Yeah, I mean, they beat Mizzou by 10. So we'll see with Texas Tech. They could be the Cinderella. Your pick could be out, Baden.
Let's just not say that.
We'll
all right, Mr. Georgia.
So for the championship in this bracket, I put Georgia beating Texas A&M. And the amount of total points scored in the championship game, 55.
I
Football
forgot we were talking about football for a second, and I was incredibly confused.
Football score.
But it clicked.
So, anyway.
That's not even a super high-scoring game. Like, that's that's an average college. I feel like that's a good scored game.
Especially A&M with their defense, Georgia with their defense.
Defensive game, but, you got a couple breakout touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a realistic guess for the teams that were given in this bracket.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you. That's just my hobby every March. I'll make 15 brackets just for fun, put some random ones in there, some other just unresearched brackets.
Yeah.
One always with my team winning. And then other than that, football bracket.
What if, just bear with me, what if the college football playoff committee, whatever it's called, expands to a 64-team playoff
in football.
Uh-huh. And Georgia and A&M end up being the final two, and Georgia wins. Imagine this bracket plays out.
Hey, what could happen? It could happen with just the 12 team.
Even though these teams don't have football teams.
Yep, exactly.
Gonzaga might just pull something crazy off.
I mean, it's like Cumberland versus Georgia Tech, the 222-0 game 100 years ago.
Exactly.
Cumberland didn't have a football team, but Georgia Tech's like, we're not about to lose this money.
Nope.
So they put some guys on the field.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta do. If John Heisman, if he says, "Hey, we are not forfeiting this game. We need our money." Well, he kind of has a trophy named after him now.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
You kind of got to do what he says.
So fair.
Well,
all right.
That's what I got.
I think that just about covers it.
Cool.
Pretty fun episode.
Very fun episode. This was so fun. I loved it today. Lots of just random moves to talk about, jokes.
That's what this part in the postseason is for. This part in the post/off season, That's what we're doing now.
Yep.
And pretty soon it'll ramp up, though.
Yeah. Cool. Well, happy spring break to Baden and to, well, we have a weird spring break. So y'all probably are done with spring break. Yeah. Hope you had a good spring break.
Arkansas is doing something silly.
Yeah. It's just Arkansas.
I think there might be some other states, but I think the state of Arkansas does it later.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying something silly in Arkansas really fit together.
Yeah,
in the same
that's
sentence
so.
really well.
Oh, that's no. Something silly. The roads in Arkansas, just Arkansas.
Hey, you only got an hour in Arkansas.
It's so true. And then I get back to Texas. Yes. The beautiful.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Yep.
Well, but yeah, whatever.
So true.
Anyway, well, thanks for listening to the Nice Catch podcast. If you love football, continue to tune in each episode from the off season all the way through the playoffs. This is the Nice Catch podcast.